Hello, welcome to Yoga with Mercedes. Today I'm really excited to offer you a restorative class that I'm calling Restorative AromaYoga. And it's called AromaYoga because I'm gonna offer the option to include essential oils if this is something that you're interested in, if this is something that you have in your home space that you can use. And if you don't have essential oils, but you're interested in it, if you have any questions about it, please feel free to reach out to me and I'd love to share that information with you. The reason why I'm including essential oils into our practice today is to add another bonus of going deeper into our relaxation. So I've picked a few different ones that I'm going to incorporate in different phases of our practice, at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. You can move through this practice and get really loosened up and have the opportunity to release and let go without the essential oils, but they're just an add-on bonus if that's something that you'd like to explore in the future. So we know that in our restorative practice, we're going to be working with releasing the connective tissue, the fascia, just as we would in the yin class. In our restorative class, we're going to be in our postures anywhere from 4 to 11 minutes. That extra time is going to really give us a chance to go deeper into our bodies, to give ourselves time to fully let go, reset, restore, and feel recharged by the end of our practice. So to start us off, we're going to try a blend called Balance. And I really like this blend because it's really grounding and it's also really great to stabilize emotions when emotions are feeling a little wonky or just kind of off. So the way I like to apply this oil is to put it directly onto my wrist. So I just put a couple drops and then I rub my wrist together. And again, if this is something that you're interested in, I can send you an ingredient list, I can send you photos, and I'm also happy to give you a sample as well. So this grounding blend is going to be perfect for our first posture, which is child's pose. For child's pose, we're going to come into our shape by coming off of the seat and starting in a kneeling position. Before we do that, let's just take a moment to get centered. From our seat, we'll find that straight spine. We'll feel the hips rooted down into the mat or into the blanket if you're sitting on one. If you decided to incorporate some essential oils, you might be taking in that scent right now, having a sensory experience. And as the hips are rooted down, feel the crown of the head rising up, lengthening the spine. Now close your eyes, and with your eyes closed, just bring awareness to how you're breathing now, this natural breath. And when you feel ready, you can start to deepen this breath. Taking a deep inhale all the way to the top of the breath. And when you're ready to exhale, open your mouth, let it go. Let's continue to explore this breath. You might even take your hands to your belly so that as you inhale, you feel your belly pressing to your hands. And as you exhale, you feel the belly soften. Feeling the physical body move with each inhale into each exhale. Whether your hands are on your belly or gently resting on your thighs, just continue to give yourself this time of breath awareness. This is also a really great time to transition from what you were doing at the beginning or the first part of your day into your practice. We let everything else go and we just be here now, letting ourselves arrive into this physical body. Letting ourselves enjoy this practice. Now, as that breath lengthens, Notice how your body starts to shift. Know that you're calming your nervous system. You might even start to feel a little more relaxed. You might decide to choose an intention for your practice. Some really great offerings for this practice today, if you don't have an intention for yourself, would be grounding, peacefulness, relaxation, just allowing yourself to move through this process, becoming refreshed. Let yourself treat your physical and energetic body today through our practice. Know that any thoughts that arise will be there for you later at the end of your practice. For now, just let everything go. Settle in. When you're ready, start to flutter the eyes open. We're ready to move into that child's pose. I started my practice by sitting on a blanket because I like to elevate the hips. That feels better for my knees. If you have a blanket, you can keep it close by in case you want to incorporate it into your practice. I've also got 2 blocks and a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you can use pillows. So just see whatever's around you that might work for your practice today. And then when you're ready to come into child's pose, you can start from a tabletop position. Then you're gonna open the knees the width of the mat, bring your big toes together, send your hips towards your heels. Now, for those of you that don't feel the hips connecting with the heels, you can place a blanket or a pillow between the glutes and the heels to help bring something in between that space so your hips aren't just hovering in this posture, because we're gonna be here for a few minutes. Then you can take your bolster or your pillow. Short end is gonna come between the thighs. Your torso is gonna face this bolster, and then allow yourself to lay completely down onto the bolster. Turn one side of your head so that you feel your cheek resting there. I'm gonna set the timer for us, so I'll let you know when we're halfway through, and then you can turn your neck in the other direction. But for now, just let yourself sink into this pose. With the bolster underneath your torso, feel your belly pressing to the bolster with each breath. Start the timer now. If you'd like to become a little more internal in your practice, you can let your eyes close. And feel your belly pressing into your prop with each inhalation, and soften with each exhalation. Give yourself permission to fully let go. You might even rotate the palms down if that feels better. Position the arms wherever feels most comfortable to you. If your hips are really open, you might not even need the bolster. You might just bring your forehead all the way down to the mat. This is up to you, depending on your body. Just remember to soften with each exhale. Surrender to this posture. Remember that our restorative practice is all about letting go, being patient with our physical, mental, and emotional bodies. Observing ourselves. As we observe ourselves, we learn. Now we're halfway through, so if you'd like, you can lift your head and then rotate so that your opposite cheek comes onto your prop. Or if your forehead is directly down onto the mat, you can stay with your head centered. Alternatively, you could invite a blanket onto your bolster if you want to position your forehead directly down. This will give space for your nose to breathe. You can also achieve this with a block. Know that as you inhale and press your belly to the bolster, you're helping to aid your digestion. We're on our last minute. Enjoy this time of relaxation. Just a couple more rounds of breath. Take a deep inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, release the air completely. On your next inhale, gently lift your head from the bolster. Now exhale, walk your hands towards your body. Find that straight spine. We'll remove the bolster off the mat for now. Lift your hips, remove any prop that might be there. Bring your legs in front. We'll take a seated cat-cow breath movement that's also going to benefit spinal mobility. So we'll be moving through extension and flexion of the spine. Now, when you come into this pose, if this doesn't feel good for your knees to have one leg in front of the other, you can take the option of bringing your feet in front, your knees up. Your hands are going to be to your knees. So whether you're here or here, just let your hands be on the knees, but don't actually press weight down with your hands, just gently resting there. Now gazing forward, as you inhale, open your heart, send it forward. As you exhale, round your spine, straightening the arms. Inhale, open the chest, open the heart, feel the shoulders go back. Exhale, round the spine, bring the belly button towards the spine. Continue to move with your breath. Inhale for extension, heart is open. Exhale for flexion, back is rounded. Allow your movement to follow your breath and just bring all of your attention to how your back feels with this movement. So this is similar to how we take our cat-cow in our tabletop position. This is just a seated version. Just allowing ourselves to give some love to our spine. We'll just take a couple more rounds. And then we'll bring our spine back to neutral. Now from here, we're going to switch up our posture again. We're going to come into a supported bridge pose. I recommend using a block. We're going to try some different options. We're going to try first with the lowest height of the block. If you feel like you want to go deeper, then you'll rotate to the middle height. If you don't have a block, it's no problem at all. You can achieve this by placing a firm pillow or a folded up blanket underneath the sacrum. So to come into this pose, bring your feet in front, and then just make sure that you bring your glutes to the middle of the mat, because you're gonna lay down on your back and you want your head and your shoulders and your entire back to have somewhere to lay down. So the block is gonna be close to you so you can grab onto it. Go ahead and let yourself lay down. Now, the position that I have myself in, I've got my arms by my sides and I've got my heels in line with my glutes. Once we come into the posture, if you feel any discomfort in your legs or your knees, then you can take the option of opening your feet to the edges of the mat and then bringing your knees in towards each other. That's just another option that might feel better for you. So we'll start with heels in line with the glutes. Take one hand to grab onto your block. When you're ready, on an inhale breath, lift your hips up enough to slide the block underneath your sacrum. So your sacrum is just below the tailbone. You want to think the block more towards the glutes than the low back. We don't actually want the block to be on the low back. Now, this is going to be a very gentle option at our starting point. If you feel that you can go deeper for the hips, then you can lift your hips again, rotate the block to the mid-height. Now, really find that positioning of the block underneath the sacrum. If you feel any discomfort in your low back, then try to wiggle the block more towards your glutes. Keep your hands on the block until you feel stable enough to let go. Remember, you can play around with heel toeing the feet open wider and then dropping the knees in towards each other. Now, we all have different bodies, so we'll have different preferences. For my body, it feels better to have my feet at hip distance. So I'm going to stay there. If you feel in your body that you can go deeper, then maybe you extend one leg, straightening the leg and bringing your heel down to the mat. Now you'll feel a deeper stretch for the psoas muscle. You might even extend both legs at the same time. If this feels like way too much, then maybe you come back to one leg straight or both knees bent. Now, for those of you that want to have one leg straight and one knee bent, I'll time you so that you can just relax and you don't have to worry about keeping time. So starting our time now, know that we're trying to explore stillness so that we can release tension and get deeper into our bodies. However, I don't want you to stay into a posture if you're really uncomfortable. If your body is uncomfortable, if you feel pain or major discomfort, then something needs to change. Please, if that's happening for you, wiggle things around until you feel comfortable in your body. We should be feeling a stretch, but we shouldn't be feeling any major uncomfortable pain. Find your sweet spot. And once you find it, simply breathe. Check in with yourself. Notice if you're holding on to tension. And if so, just give yourself permission to soften with your exhale breath. You might even close your eyes. Notice where you feel the sensation in your physical body. If you've been working with one leg extended, know that we're coming into the halfway point. I recommend holding onto your block, then bending the knee of the leg that you have straight. Bring that heel in line with your glute. Reposition the block if you need to. And then when you're ready, go ahead and straighten the opposite leg. Bring the heel down to the mat. Now this side might be different. If you feel any pinching at all, then maybe switch things up. Maybe come back to both knees being bent. Continue to listen to your body. Once you find the appropriate shape, let your arms be grounded down. Arms resting beside your body. Take a moment now to notice how you are breathing. If the breath became short, just explore lengthening the breath. We've got about 30 seconds left in this pose. To gently and safely come out, bring your hands to the block that is supporting you. If you've got one leg extended, go ahead and bend that knee. Bring both heels towards the glutes. On an inhale breath, press your feet to the mat, lift your hips, remove the block from underneath. Slowly roll down from the top of the spine, bone by bone, all the way until the tailbone connects down. Feel your entire spine grounded. Before we move into the next shape, let's take some time to release the low back. So we'll heel toe those feet open. Feet find the edges of the mat. Knees move in towards each other. This is a nice time to maybe bring the hands to the belly. Tuck your chin towards your chest. Allow the back of the neck, the cervical spine to lengthen. Allow each exhalation to be an opportunity of letting go, of softening, surrendering, sinking deeply down into the mat. Reminding yourself that this time is for you to relax. Give yourself all the permission you need to do so. When you're ready, gently start to open up the knees, heel toe the feet back to hip distance, heels in line with the glutes. Know that our next posture we're coming into is reclined bound angle or Baddha Konasana. To achieve this shape, we let the knees splay open. We let the soles of the feet find each other. If there are any props in your way, go ahead and move them out of the way. In this shape, we're going to invite in our second essential oil option if you choose to do so for this practice. Before we add that in, I'd like to mention that if we're holding any tension at all, it will be very difficult to release and relax. So if your hips are tight with the knees open and you don't have blocks, you can straighten your arms and make fists with your hands and then take your fist underneath your thighs to support yourself here. If you have blocks, you'll want to grab both of them. This way you don't need to use your hands. You can simply place the blocks underneath the thighs. Now, if you don't have blocks and you don't want to use your hands, you can use folded up blankets or pillows. So play around with what's around you in your space. See what's feeling good. While you're doing that, I'll give you some different hand options. So the arms can be out to the sides. Hands can be at the belly. If you feel that you want to go deeper for the inner thighs, then you can bring your palms to rest on the inner thighs. So we're not pushing, just gently resting. Try all of those options, see which one you like. The one that feels the best in your body is going to be the right choice for your practice today. Now for this pose, I'm going to invite in lavender essential oil. And the reason why I'm inviting lavender in is because lavender is really great for reducing anxiety, for helping us to relax, for helping with any sleep issues. I also like to add lavender into the bathtub anytime I need to ease any muscle tension. So for this lavender option, I'm going to put a drop on a finger, and then I'm going to put that directly onto my heart space. And I might even take another drop and put it at the back of my neck. This one smells really good. And once you've applied that, if you've taken that option, you can just set it out to the side. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, soften. Starting our time now. Giving ourselves this opportunity to just be. We don't always have to do. It's important to find the time to be present, to be relaxed, to be peaceful. Know that physically it looks like an easy practice, the practice of restorative yoga. This practice, however, can be very challenging, particularly if we have excessive thoughts or some looping happening. And this is normal. Here we can shift our awareness as we observe the thoughts that are passing through. We can practice what's called detached awareness. let those thoughts come in and then let them go. Try to observe what's coming up, but without becoming too involved. See it, notice it, and then send it along on its way. Continue to deepen your breath. Continue to give yourself permission to relax. Now wherever your hands and arms are, start to lift them. Bring your palms towards your thighs. And gently guide the knees towards each other. Feel the soles of the feet meet the mat. If you have any props in your way, you can remove them. Take however many rounds of breath that you need here. Know that for the next posture, which is really going to be coming into it with a movement, we're going to need to change the station of our body. So we're going to go from a supine reclined position onto hands and knees. To come out, you can just lean over onto one side. And then use your top hand to push the floor away. Coming up onto your seat. And if you feel a little dizzy in the headspace from that movement, just give yourself a moment to get adjusted there. We really are going into some deep diving of relaxation and letting the body go. And with that, there's a lot of shift happening energetically and internally. So we want to be really easy with our body as we move from one pose to another. It's okay to slow down. I love to remind people of that. We live in this really fast-paced culture where we feel like the more we get done, the more productive we are, the more successful we'll be. And we forget that it's really important for our body, for our system, to slow down and just observe. And bring that peacefulness back in. So now that we're ready to shift, we'll find that tabletop kneeling position. We set ourselves up by aligning the wrists under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. Spread the fingers wide. Know that we're going to come into one side at a time. On your next inhale breath, lift your right arm and reach it up to the ceiling. Fingertips to the ceiling, as if you're trying to tap the ceiling. And then as you exhale, you're going to weave that right arm between the left arm and the left knee. See about coming onto the right shoulder and the right side of your head. Now, if you want to get deeper into your shoulder, just lean a little more. If you have a shoulder injury, then you're going to want to opt out of this pose. If this feels okay and you want to go deeper, on your next inhale, you can reach the left fingers up. You can take the left hand to the sacrum. Or you can take your left fingers to the inside of the right thigh, opening that left shoulder, allowing the spine to twist. If you're in the bind or if your palm is on your sacrum, go ahead and reach the left fingers up on an inhale. And as you exhale, bring the left hand underneath the left shoulder. Inhale, press the left hand to the mat. Reach the right fingers up. And then exhale, take the right palm down. Now take a moment to explore a full round of breath here. Inhaling to the top of the breath through the nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, take a sigh of relief. Now on the next inhale, press the right hand into the mat, lift the left fingers up towards the ceiling, as if you're trying to tap the ceiling. And as you exhale, weave that left arm between the right arm and the right thigh. Come on to the left shoulder. Come on to the left side of the head. Now you can stay here, or if you'd like, you can reach your right fingers up towards the ceiling. Maybe the right hand finds the sacrum. Maybe the right hand finds the inside of the left thigh, and then the right shoulder would open up. So I'm having a limitation with my right shoulder, so I'm going to opt out of that bind. You do what's best for your body today. Honor your body where it is. Now on your next exhale, you're going to bring that right hand down. Press it to the mat. As you inhale, reach those left fingers back up. Reach, reach, reach. And then exhale, take the left palm down. Back to tabletop, full round of breath. Inhale deeply through the nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, sigh of relief. And find your natural breath. Walk your hands towards your knees. Take your feet to one side. Come back onto your seat. Bring your legs in front of you. Now this next posture is going to be supported, and it's going to be to stretch the entire back space. I hear so many people say that they have back issues, and I really love this posture because you can get a deep, deep stretch for the whole back. So I recommend taking a blanket if you have one, or you can use a foam roller. And what you're going to do is you're going to roll the blanket. So I'm noticing when I roll it from the short end, it's pretty high up. I want mine to be a little lower because my hamstrings are pretty open. So I'm going to take it and roll it the other way. Okay, so a little less height. That works for my body. And then I'm gonna take this blanket underneath my knees. Now I don't have to worry about stressing my hamstrings as I fold forward. My legs are supported. Now we're gonna grab our bolster or a pillow, and you're gonna want a longer pillow. And you're gonna bring the short end all the way to your belly. So you've got the bolster on your legs and you're supporting the bolster in this shape. Now as you exhale, you're gonna lean forward. Your arms can rest down. When you bring your forehead to the bolster, if you feel that there's not enough space for you to breathe, you can invite a block onto the bolster and position your forehead so that now you've got space for your nose to breathe with a little more freedom. So this is going to be the most gentle option. My back can go for more of a stretch, so I'm going to modify my props, and you can too if your body's more like mine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate the bolster and I'm gonna bring it to my shins. Now, the reason why I'm gonna bring it to my shins is because if I bring it to my thighs, I'm not gonna have enough space to fold forward as much as I want to. You don't wanna ever bring the bolster or the prop directly onto your knees because the weight of that is not gonna be healthy or safe for your knees. So bring the pillow or the bolster to the shins, take an inhale breath, reach the crown of the head up, and then as you exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. Let the arms rest wherever feels good. So now I'm able to get more flexion in my spine. I'm feeling a deeper stretch, and I'm gonna invite my block back on so that my forehead can rest there. Your arms can be resting on your pillow or bolster, or your arms can come down to your blanket or your mat. That's going to be more relaxing for the shoulders. That's going to create a little more space between the shoulders and the ears. Now from here, all we do is just relax. Just breathe into this pose. Just be here now. In this time, we can also take inventory of our bodies. We can notice if one side of our back feels different than the other. And if it does, that's perfectly okay. We don't need answers to the questions of why. It's just where our body is today. The important point is that you're here offering this opening, learning about your body, and serving your body in a really safe and peaceful way. This is a therapeutic practice. It should feel good. If it feels good, you're doing it right. Deep inhale to the top of the breath. Exhale, let it go. Now that we've been here for several rounds of breath, you might want to see if your body's ready to go deeper. If you're perfectly happy where you are in terms of your edge, the stretch, the sensation that you're feeling, then please, by all means, stay here. If you want to explore if your body's ready to go deeper, then maybe just change the positioning of the props. Maybe you lower down a little more. If you feel any tension, then you've gone a little too far. Just a few more rounds of breath. Taking these last few rounds to find your fullest expression. Inhale, lift the head. Slowly taking your time. There's no rush. Pause once you feel that straight spine. When you're ready, remove the bolster if you've got one on your legs. We are going to come back to the bolster, so keep it close. You can bend your knees to lift them and remove your blanket from underneath. And just take a few rounds of breath in whichever seated position feels comfortable for you. Notice any difference in your body, any shifts since the start of our practice. Know that we've got 4 more postures to go. Our next posture is going to be a supported pigeon. For this posture, I recommend having a bolster or pillow. That's going to support your torso. And then I recommend having a block or a folded up blanket that will support your hip if it's lifted. So bring those props close by. You'll want to bring the bolster to the front of your mat, and you're going to bring the short end of it towards you. So go ahead and position that. Then when you're ready, we're going to come in from a kneeling position. Change the station of your body. Now coming into one side at a time. Starting with the right leg moving forward. Bring your right knee behind your right wrist. So the right knee is going to the right side of the mat. Now curl your toes, lift your left knee, move it back, lower it back down. Use that space to bring your right foot to the left side of your mat. Now, lengthen the left leg. Look over your left shoulder. Make sure your left leg is straight, even your foot. If you've got space underneath your right hip, then that's where you're going to put your blanket or your block. Remember, this is going to be a longer held pigeon. It's supported. You should be comfortable. If you feel any discomfort with your right knee, then bring your right foot closer to your left hip. Alternatively, if you're still feeling discomfort, then you can bring another blanket underneath your right foot. That's going to feel more cushy. Now, pull that short end of the bolster all the way up to your right shin, and then lay your belly and your chest onto the bolster. Just turn your head to whichever side you'd like. If you don't feel a deep enough stretch on this hip, you can explore removing the prop so that you're letting that hip sink down more. Hips should be squared. Here you can close your eyes, come back to your breath. Imagine that each exhalation breath is traveling into this right hip. Full, complete rounds of breath. As you inhale, you may feel your belly pressing into your bolster or pillow. As you exhale, feel the softening. Remember to wiggle your body around and change your shape at any time that your body is calling for. Let your body be comfortable. If you're not comfortable and you're holding tension, you won't actually be able to stretch, which means you won't be able to release, to open up, to create space. So find your most comfortable option. Once you're there, settle in. You might even play around with the positioning of your arms. Feel the support of the bolster below you. If you've been suffering from sciatica, know that this posture is a really beneficial one. It's helpful to ease some of that suffering. Know that we've got just one more minute on this side. Continue to soften as you exhale. Continue to send that exhalation breath all the way into the right hip. Enjoy a few more rounds of breath on this side. Wherever your hands are, start to bring them underneath the shoulders. On your next inhale breath, slowly start to peel your head, your chest, and your belly off of the bolster. Move the hands more towards your body if you need to. Now lift your hips, slide that right knee back. Bring the knees in line with each other. Take a round of breath here. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, sigh of relief. So we're going to do that on the other side. This time, the left knee comes behind the left wrist. Left knee is to the left edge of the mat. The left foot is now to the right side of the mat. Extend your right leg. So you can curl the toes to lift the knee, send it back. Look past the right shoulder. Make sure that your leg, your foot are in a straight line. Then pull the bolster all the way to your shin. Remember, if your foot is uncomfortable on the mat, you can take a blanket underneath your foot to support, which is also going to be more comfortable for your knee. You can also bring your foot closer to your hip if your hip feels really tight on this side. Now, lay your belly and your chest onto the bolster. You can turn your head now in the opposite direction. And give yourself permission to settle in. Remember that you can position a block or a blanket underneath your left hip if you need to, especially if that hip is sinking down. We want to keep the hips squared, in line with each other. So if that left hip is really sinking down, place a prop there. Know that if you feel discomfort underneath your knee at any point on the right side, you can place a blanket there for cushion, for support. And once your physical body feels happy with its shape, bring your awareness back to your breath. Long, slow inhalations. Longer, slower exhalations. You can come back to the practice of closing your eyes and visualizing your exhalation breath traveling all the way into your hip. Know that visualization is a very powerful practice. Coming into our last minute on this side. Continue to let go as you exhale. Continue to let the hip open. As the hip opens, let the stagnant energy release from the hip space. Taking one more round of breath. Preparing to come out. Slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Use your energy to lift your head, your torso on the inhale breath. And then lift your hips. Slide the left knee in line with the right. Take a full round of breath here. Inhaling through the nostrils. Exhale, open the mouth, let it go. And bring your knees together, feet together. Let the foundation be your shins. Just finding that straight spine as we prepare for our next posture. For the next posture, we're going to come back down into a supine, reclined shape, so changing the station of the body. So what you'll need to do is move the bolster out of the way. I do recommend that you have a block, a blanket, or a bolster. They're going to be different heights near you so that you might support them underneath each knee as we move from side to side. So to come into the next posture, which will be our spinal twist, supine spinal twist. As you lay yourself down, remember, have your head, shoulders, back, tailbone, feet, legs comfortably on the mat. And then have your props around you so that you can grab them depending on which ones you need. Supported spinal twist. I'm going to use my blanket for a prop. To start off, I'm going to make sure that nothing is in the way of opening my arms. So I'll bring my blanket down near where my knees are going to go. And then when I open my arms, I want to bring my wrist in line with my shoulders. And then I'll lift my feet so that my ankles are in line with my knees. I'll take an inhale breath. And then as I exhale, I'm going to lower my knees over to the ground. And then just make sure that I've got my prop there to support the knees. So the prop is going to be really useful because we have a tendency to want to bring the knees all the way down, and that can affect the opposite shoulder lifting. So with my knees to the left, I'm now going to look over to the right. So it might look like a different direction because the camera is flipped. Just know that whatever side your knees are on, you can make the spiraling of the spine deeper by looking to the other side. If this is uncomfortable for your neck, you can just face straight up to the ceiling, or you can face the same direction as your knees. So this is totally up to you. And then just relax into the pose. If you feel any discomfort at the hip crease, you might take your blanket or your pillow between the knees. This is actually how I recommend sleeping at night. If you're a side sleeper like I am, it's going to be much safer for your body to have your knee in line with your hip rather than your knee lower. If your knee is lower than your hip, then there will be a pulling sensation there. got 1 minute to go on this side. Couple more rounds of breath. On your next inhale, lift the knees to center. Feel the entire back and spine. Reconnect with the mat. If you were working with a prop, bring it over to the other side. Set yourself up. Open the arms out, wrist in line with the shoulders. Lift the feet, ankles in line with the knees. Take an inhale, breath. Exhale, lower both knees over to the right. Let the knees rest on the ground or on your prop. To go deeper into the spiraling, look away from the knees. Remember, if that's not working for your neck, look directly up or turn your head in the same direction as your knees. Now, because this side might be different, maybe the propping will be different. Adjust however you need to for your body. And then sink in, relax, be present. We're halfway through on this side. Take the time now to expand the breath. Continue to settle in and observe the experience that you're having in your physical body, the thoughts and emotions that arise. We're now in our last minute. Preparing to come out. props go. As you inhale, lift the knees up. Soles of the feet connect to the mat. Take a full round of breath, back to center, back to neutral spine. And when you're ready, find your way back onto your seat. You can roll up or you can move to one side and then press up. For our next posture, we're going to take a supported fish. So we'll take the bolster behind us. So we're looking away from the bolster, and we bring the short end of it up to our glutes. Now, as you do this, if you want to continue hip opening as we were doing before, you can take those Baddha Konasana legs. Or if you don't want to work with the hips right now, you can just let the legs extend. So continue to feel the glutes at the bolster or the pillow. Hold onto it and then lean back. So you're bringing your spine to connect onto the bolster. Back of the head meets the bolster. Forearms ground down to the mat, or you can position blocks underneath your forearms. Now, if this is uncomfortable for your low back, you can take a different variation by moving the bolster so that the long end is behind you. And as you lean back, you're holding on to the short ends and you're positioning the shoulder blades onto the bolster. Now, as you bring your head back, you might want some support for your head. So you can place a blanket or blocks there. If you open your arms out, you'll feel a shoulder stretch. If that's a little too much, you can bring your arms onto your bolster. Whatever you choose, let the heart open. Anytime we let the heart open, we're allowing ourselves the experience of cultivating love and compassion. Continue to pay attention to the head and the neck if you're in the second option. And take the time that you need to support the head to find the propping that's serving you best today. Now, if neither one of those options are working for your back, head, or neck, then now is a great time for you to come into your traditional Shavasana shape. Positioning yourself in the shape of a star. Don't worry if you want both options. I'm going to give you plenty of time. So we've got our star shape. Space between the feet, space at the armpits. For those of us that have low back issues, we can take that bolster or rolled up blanket underneath the knees to provide a little lift, which is going to flatten that natural space at the low back. And to completely flatten that space at the low back, we can take legs up the wall. So the back is grounded and the legs are supported with the wall. If you're happy where you are, stay there. Just know that I'm gonna move my body around one more time to continue to show you your options. So if you'd like the legs up the wall option, you'll scoot your glutes up to the wall as best you can, and then rotate so that you're bringing your glutes to the wall, legs to the wall. Bring your legs together. This is a really great gentle inversion. As you settle into it, on an inhale, you can point your toes. And as you exhale, you can flex your feet. So when you inhale, point, you're getting a nice stretch at the top of the feet and into the ankles. And when you flex, you're getting a nice stretch of the calf muscles. Let's take one more. And then let the feet relax. Now, if you like that option, but you want hip opening, the knees can splay out, soles of the feet can find each other. Palms can rest to the inner thighs. Remember, no pushing, just resting. So we've really got a lot of different options for our final posture of total relaxation of Shavasana. Stay where you are if you're happy there. But knowing that we're coming into our Shavasana time, now's a good time to shift your body, to move into that relaxation period, your peaceful pose, the way that you want to end your practice for the longest held posture. Settle in when you find the option that's working for you. Know that I'm going to let you know when it's time to come out of it. You don't need to do any thinking, planning, analyzing. Just be, just relax. When you hear the sound of my voice again, I'll indicate for you to come out of Shavasana. But for now, just settle in and enjoy the experience. Gently start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Let your body know that it's time to invite movement back in. And take any movement that feels good to you to come out of the practice, to come out of stillness. As you shift into movement, find your way onto a comfortable seat in your time, when you're ready. Propping yourself up however you need to. Know that it's also okay to stay in a reclined position relaxing if you need more time. For those of you that are seated and ready to finish your practice, I just want to offer you the last essential oil offering if you're interested in that. And this last offering is actually a combo of 3 different essential oils. And the reason why I want to introduce these to you is because whenever I'm coming out of something, particularly when I wake up in the morning, I'm not really with it. It takes me a little bit to get going. So if I want to do that without having a coffee, or if I need to do that real quick, what I like to do is take 1 drop of wild orange, 1 drop of frankincense, and 1 drop of peppermint essential oil. So I just open up the lids, place 1 drop in each hand. 2 drops of orange came out just then, but that's okay. Just make sure that you don't put citrus oil anywhere on your skin that's then going to be hit by the sun. Speaking of the sun, that's not happening right now. If you just heard that loud crash of thunder. And then 1 drop of frankincense. Now I rub these together in my hands, bring my palms up to my nose. Take a deep inhale, and that just really opens things up. And then I take 2 more. Smells so good, it's so energizing, so therapeutic. 1 more. Now I feel like I can fully come out of my relaxation and take on what I need to for the rest of the day. I hope you all had an enjoyable practice. I hope you're doing well, and I hope to see you again. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.